What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Camper Report. Today we've got a guest that I've really watched for a while. I've kind of been following. I got to know him through a few other content creators, and I've been watching his stuff, and now I finally get to have him on the show. Please welcome in Dante from East Coast Gridiron. Tell us what you do over on East Coast Gridiron. Obviously, links in the description. You can find his Twitter and his YouTube in the description. I'm sure you have Instagram, but I'm not on Instagram.
Yeah.
So you can find those in the description. Tell us what you do a little bit on your channel. And I want to know, how did you become a fan? Because you were telling me backstage, you're kind of a little bit of your background. How did you get to covering the NFL, college? You do really everything on your channel. So introduce yourself and maybe what you do, I guess.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on the show, Ben. I know this is, every time somebody hits me up, I try not to skip out on doing these to, not only to connect with somebody else and see their point of view, which is always great. Opinions can change, but, also being smaller YouTubers, I consider us, even though we have 2,500 subs, I still consider us to be a pretty small channel. However, I can help you guys out, we can grow together. So I'm all about this stuff. It's super important. But to get into, how I got into football, pretty much growing up, my dad played football collegiately. He was a punter at North Carolina Central. I always joke with him. I'm like, okay, you went to a HBCU and you're a white dude, so that's hilarious. But yeah, he was a punter at North Carolina Central, so that was cool. And then just growing up, I played all kinds of different positions. Ended up playing quarterback and played kind of some other stuff too. And then moved on to coaching. Was an assistant coach for a couple of years, and then coaching quarterbacks, and now I'm doing podcasting. So started out as audio. I got a background in graphic design. So, I mean, if you've ever been to one of our shows, you see how produced that they are as far as, graphics and making sure that people have some type of info or have some eye candy to look at. So I pride myself on having, super good quality when it comes to that stuff, but kind of been growing this with some other guys. I see Tony's in the chat. Tony just recently joined us from his side, and we want to be beyond a podcast, man. We want to be the number one source for all football media, and we want to educate as well too. So, kind of the stuff that we do on our channel. If you've watched the Slider series, you know how in depth I can get with, certain players in college. I kind of got into like a documentary type of video that was about 20 minutes between JT Daniels and Casey Thompson and kind of their journey in college. But and then we, venture over to the NFL. We had some talks with the XFL to do a couple things. So we covered the XFL during the season. It was super duper fun. All of us came together and did that. So, we're just constantly trying to evolve and, hopefully grow this thing to where everybody can digest something on our channel, football related, all year round without any gaps. So a lot of people are like, well, there's nothing to talk about in the dead period. Well, no, a lot of people just cover one team. So with us, it's like, there's always something to talk about, so during this time, we've been making lists and predictions on conferences and predictions on who we think our top 5 players are going to be by the end of the year and things like that. So, yeah, man, just like you've been watching us for a while, that there's pretty much daily content almost every single day that we chop up from our live streams, because we know that somebody's not going to sit through a 2 or 3 hour live stream. Those that do, we appreciate them, but a lot of people don't have that much time on their schedule, so they get to pick and choose what they want to watch too. So I like that about our channel, but just to kind of intro myself, I kind of lead the pack over there on East Coast Gridiron, and it was my baby from the beginning, and me and my guy Don started it out. A couple members came, a couple of members went, and we are about 9 members deep right now. So we're always looking to add on to the crew and find other talents, because we've been in the media. We did the Senior Bowl this year. We want to do more stuff. We want to be at more games. We want to travel more. And do all kinds of different stuff. So that's what you get with us, man. We're pretty laid back. I mean, if you watch any of our shows, we don't really take ourselves too serious, but when it's time to get serious, we get serious and give you the right information. So hopefully everybody either finds like their favorite guy on the show, or they find their favorite topic or their favorite segment during the show that they really like and that they tune in for. So I try to make it a variety, man. Everybody doesn't want the debate shows anymore. There's too many debate channels and debate shows out there, and we try not
Yeah.
to play. But if you've ever seen the famous me and Manny going at it about our differences of opinions, that's always funny to tune into because we always get animated. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on the show, and I think this is gonna be a good one, man. You sent me some good questions, so.
Well, and so you were talking about before we get to the questions, you coached. What position did you coach in football?
So I was assistant to the head coach, and I was primarily over the offensive ball. So, did I cut out there? Or am I still good?
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So I was primarily over the offense. You know, specialty coach over the quarterbacks for sure. I help with the safeties, and if you've ever coached or ever played youth football at any type of level, you pretty much are going to play two ways. And I always tell people, if you can play quarterback, then you're probably going to play safety. If you play wide receiver, you're probably going to play cornerback. If you play running back, you're probably going to play linebacker. You play O-line, you're probably going to play D-line. So that's usually how it goes. So I was overseeing the safeties for a little bit, and I also coached lacrosse too. That was my first love, and I was one of those guys that played that. I'm actually from Maryland, so that's the state sport, and I'm super proud of that. So
yeah, and you were talking about your dad used to, because I come from about 2 hours away from Charlotte. I live in Colorado now.
My dad lives in Winston-Salem.
Really? So does he know where Wilkes County is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I came from. Not very many people know that town.
We know Wilkes County.
Wow, that's crazy. That's small world. But let's get to these topics. Joe Burrow still out. Is this starting to become concerning? Because at first it was like it's not a huge injury, and now the timeline is starting to, I guess, kind of grow. And it's a huge unknown because they haven't really touched on it a lot. He's probably not going to play any preseason games. We know how that affects some players. Some players need to ramp up actually playing. They need to play actual football before the important games actually start. And if you're the Bengals, it's like you have to start off fast. The AFC is super tough. You have a tough schedule because you were first in your division last year. That means you're playing the Chiefs, the Bills, and I guess what would the other team be? It would be the Jaguars.
Yep.
So
Jaguars, yep.
It's tough if you're the Bengals. How do they handle this? And is this concerning?
I don't think so. I'm all about protecting your assets at the end of the day, because Joe Burrow's not going to forget how to play football at a high level.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get it. Let's just get that straight. And I think a lot of people are like, oh man, he needs to step in there and at least get his feet wet. I mean, the dude was injured for half a season and came back and was in MVP form. So, I mean, he's throwing the ball at some capacity or doing some activities in some capacity still. It's not like he's fully injured. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean that he's not working on something or in the playbook. Because at this point in time, the most important thing, he's got the mechanical skills. So as long as he can keep his mind sharp, which I think that's the number one thing that gets a lot of players in trouble, AKA we'll get into Anthony Richardson, but that's what I think that his major issue is it's not his mechanical skill, how big he is. It's his psyche. He's not a winner. He never has been. And trying to teach him to change his mechanics overnight, as far as reading defenses like that's something that he severely needs to work on. That's one thing that Jordan Palmer says too, is when you go and train with him, and Joe Burrow's one of the prospects of Jordan Palmer.
Yeah.
He says, I don't try to work on the mechanical skill. I'm not going to teach you how to rethrow. You've been throwing like this your whole life. Why do I need to go in there and change that mechanic if it works? I need to change how you think about the game and how emotional that you get and how you look at everything from that aspect. So, and I totally agree with that. I mean, they got to the NFL because of their mechanical skill, in college. And now it's just a different aspect when you're in the NFL. Things get a lot faster. So it's how fast can you process things outside of what your arm can do. So, I mean, with that being said, with the with Joe Burrow being out, I don't see it as such a concern. Look at all my guys starting to roll in.
Yeah.
I knew that they would.
Franchise. Shout out to you, Coach Dante. I've seen you before.
Yeah.
Sora, all guys of the round table at East Coast Gridiron. Go check them
Yes.
out.
Go ahead, put your swords down on the table and let them know we are here. But yeah, I think it'll be okay. Like I said, I'm all about protecting you guys when they're hurt. Joe Burrow is going to be Joe Burrow regardless, and he's handicapped. And what I mean, not handicapped in the bad way, but he's handicapped in that team because he has, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, and that offensive line is improving. Like, he's got things around him to at least be a scapegoat if things do go bad. So I mean, they're going to get him out of trouble. So it's not like when you look at an anemic team that doesn't have a good wide receiver or a good wide receiving core or running back that they can depend on. I.e., I think about that with the Vikings now.
Yeah.
Like they're expecting Alexander Madison to be this great guy, but like Dalvin Cook was an important piece to all of that. I don't look at it like that. I would say if Kirk Cousins was hurt, I'd be like, oh man, can Jaron Hall really come in and be that guy? But I think they'll be all right, Ben. I mean, Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. He knows what it's like to win. As long as that will to win and that will to be good and can listen to the coaching that's there and treat his body right. Freak things happen. Now it's just a freak injury, but I think he's probably a crazy man when it comes to working on everything that he needs to work on as well. And he's probably not the dude that's going to stay out of the training room for very long, even through his injury. So, but that's what makes him great too. He's going to know how to train those things without re-injuring himself. Because it was a lower body injury. It's not like it's not like he hurt his arm. You know what I'm saying? So that's if it was an arm injury like Brock Purdy, I'd be a little bit more concerned because that was a reconstructive surgery pretty much that happened to him. But Joe Burrow didn't hurt his arm or his shoulder or his back, so he's probably fine. So
yeah, well, and long term, I think you're talking about fine, but the fact that they haven't really alluded to the timetable of when he would return, I mean, they did it first, but it's kind of unknown, is a little bit concerning. You also talk about how they have 2 divisional games right off the bat. And so if he's not, I mean, the Browns and the Ravens, say what you will about the Browns, I'm actually pretty high on them this year. I don't know about you. Well, yeah, you just said me too, but I think
I'm very high on the Browns, man. I think they're severely overlooked right now.
They are, because you look at the receivers and they're like 4 deep. I mean, they got Elijah Moore. We're overlooking him. I mean, he was great with the Jets. And then obviously Donovan Peoples-Jones, Amari Cooper, they have the depth that you're looking for. And then also the running back position. So I think really you're going to have to bring it week 1. And that's at Browns. That's in the Browns stadium. And then Ravens week 2. So if you're not 100% bringing that heat, like the first 2 weeks, if you're not 100%, you could fall 1-1, 0-2. And since it's divisional games, I mean, what could that do in the AFC for you? Tiebreakers, everything else. And so, I mean, I don't know. He needs to be prepared. He needs to, like, obviously, like you said, he'll get his body. You trust him. He'll get his body right. But game action ready. I don't know about that. I mean, that's going to be tough the first 2 games for sure.
Yeah, the Browns game does matter because that's the divisional game, but you'd rather these 2 games happen early in the season if he's not 100% than later on and him not be 100% too. Because a lot of things can shape out in the 17-game season. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they could lose the first 2 games and then win the next 15, and then we wouldn't even be talking about this being an issue and then being one of the best teams. And obviously, I think if you went 15 games in your division, you're the number 1 seed in that division going to the playoffs. So, I mean, I see what you're saying, and there's both sides of the equation. How did they handle it? Would it be a really good experience to go against 2 really good teams to start out too? Absolutely, because that could set the tone for the rest of your season. But we'll see. I think the Browns will make the right decision, and obviously he's got a huge contract that's probably coming up here soon that
Mhm.
people have seen to not talk about anymore. It's like
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
it's like Jalen Hurts got paid, then Justin Herbert got paid, Lamar Jackson got paid, and now it's like we haven't heard anything about Joe Burrow because he's been hurt. So
That's going to be the story of next offseason because I think there's going to be a lot of hesitancy on the Bengals' part to sign him, and this injury did not bode well for him for sure. And if you're looking at the schedule after those two games, it's Rams, Titans, and Cardinals. So there will probably be a chance to bounce back, I would think.
it's the Rams who
Rams,
Cardinals.
Titans, Cardinals.
Three garbage teams back to back to back.
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
versus Rams, at Titans, at Cardinals, and then they play versus Seahawks, at Niners. The tough one is at Niners and versus Bills 2 weeks in a row. That would be tough. But actually they have a bye. No, never mind. They don't have a bye in between. But yeah, that's tough. We are on the Niners realm today. Yeah, I don't know. They're probably all my regulars are probably watching the Niners game because it is going on right now. Everyone, if Niners fans do pop in, tell me how Brock Purdy is doing. I heard he had a nice first series, so that's good to hear. How good is Trevor Lawrence? Does he like to clown you a lot?
I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan. I mean, everybody,
really? Okay.
everybody that's watched the show probably knows that I'm not high on him. I never have been in college. So if this is the first time you hear me talk about this, Ben, I'm not the biggest fan. I would like to say in my group of friends, I'm probably the one that holds the expectations for all my teams very, very, very low. And I will not be delusional to say because it's my team that they're over expected to do something. Like I think the Jaguars are going to do worse than they did last year. That's just me.
Wow, I mean, that's a hot take. I think they're great, but
I think we have great players surrounding Trevor Lawrence. I think we have great players on that defense, but the second year around having a blueprint on all those things because we really didn't change in any areas. People think it's just going to be on the up and up, but if I'm right, Manny, I know I see you saying I'm bugging. If I'm right.
Well, I will say that the we'll get into a little bit more Jaguars, but I will say that the interior defensive line is definitely a concern, I would say. Because you guys, who was it? You signed Mondio or whatever his name is from the Giants. That's a good depth piece, but there's no one like that actually sticks out on the interior for you guys.
Roy Robertson just got signed to a contract. I don't understand why we paid him, and that's pretty much it. And then we have Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker on the edges.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't like Trent Baalke at all. Hate him. From a Niners fan, you probably know the history behind that. But
yeah, I think he did. I think what he did last year was way too late, to be honest.
Yeah.
That should have happened. All the money that we spent last year should have been spent the year before.
Mm-hmm.
But Doug Peterson comes in, changes the culture, and they decide that they want to spend money. I mean, I don't know what Trent Baalke was doing in this draft either. I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
I hated every pick up until when we got Antonio Johnson and Parker Washington. Pretty much every other pick, every pick after that, I hated every single one.
I do think the Oklahoma tackle that you guys drafted was a little bit
Harrison.
A reach.
Yeah, that was the first. I mean, I absolutely lost it. I was like, what?
Who do you think they should have gotten?
We should have kept Jawan Taylor.
yeah, that's true.
Instead of giving him away, I'm like, we spent all this money signing Cam Robinson for him to not only just do some boneheaded stuff in the offseason by getting popped for PEDs or whatever it was, but the guy didn't take a step up at all. But the guy that did last year didn't get any money, and we just let him go. So I was like, all right. So Jawan Taylor actually had a good year last year, and we just here's your walking.
Let him go to a top competitor too, who you're playing this year. So
yeah, I don't understand, man. That one right there made me lose my mind because all that stuff where we're saying right now, the Jawan Taylor being let go and Then we're drafting Anton Harrison. It's just like all of that just came down and washed it down. I'm like, we wouldn't even need to do this if we didn't get
Yeah.
rid of the guy that knows the system. And obviously we should have paid. But this is the Jaguars history. We just rinse and repeat. Because after like 2 years, everybody that we know is a good player is going to be gone. I feel it coming. That's what we do as a team. Go to the AFC Championship, then get rid of everybody. Why? I don't understand. But I've been dealing with this since 1995, since I was 5 years old.
Yeah. Big Fridge, or at least I think it's, Big Fridge, just with a big eye. Hi, guys. And then Carcast.
What's up, man?
By the way, that Big Fridge, new to the channel, like and subscribe. Thanks for hopping in. Carcast, go subscribe to his channel, the Good Niners channel. Cheese Empire, also new.
That's Hayden.
Thanks for hopping in. The water puddle is still there. What does he mean by that?
I believe you gotta tell me which draft pick it was, but it was like our second or third pick. I pulled out a water bottle, or either maybe it was on Anton Harrison, and I poured it a whole water right on my head. We were live during the draft, and I just stood there like this with all the water dripping with my Trevor Lawrence jersey.
I saw that.
I lost my mind.
So what would you grade, moving on to the rookie quarterbacks, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud? I probably need to edit this, but Bryce, because I got this off of Twitter, which I wrote to you, but what would you grade these rookie QBs so far? Let's start with Bryce Young. He's a guy I feel like who's kind of struggled in a way to begin with. What's your thoughts on this?
Bryce Young's game, his second game was okay. The first game, I thought he looked incredible. I thought he looked like a veteran. I know he overthrew DJ Chark on one of those passes in the first game, but these are all things that I think can be tweaked and worked on. I'd rather you overthrow a receiver than underthrow a receiver any day of the week. Give me that. Bryce Young right now gets a B right now. I think that there's things that he can work on. I think he's looking like a rookie, but the one thing that I think is totally apparent for him out of every single rookie outside of one is he looks like a veteran when he's sitting in the pocket. He will take a hit, but he knows that the ball has to be delivered, and it feels like he doesn't feel the rush of like anxiety that a lot of rookies feel when they're sitting in that situation. And you can't teach that, and he already has that. So if you can surround him with a great offensive line and those receivers in him can be in sync, I'm willing to say that Bryce Young might be the next best quarterback in this league that we're going to be talking about. I don't see Trevor Lawrence with that still. I think Daniel Jones has it, and Daniel Jones gets a lot of flack, but I'm a Daniel Jones. I'm a supporter of his. Like, there are excuses for him. But there's a handful of quarterbacks you don't see that from still to this day. And I think Bryce Young, he's got it. Like that. That's one thing you don't have to coach. You're like, make the read and make the play now. You don't get that anxiety when everything's crashing in. So we know that you can extend the play, but I'm sure he'll be okay. I think that's one thing that Frank Reich was missing up with the Colts is he hasn't had a quarterback. I mean, Matt Ryan was just at the end of his days, so I don't really blame him for that. But like Carson Wentz never felt comfortable in the pocket ever, and all the rest of the guys that Frank Reich had. I mean, Andrew Luck going down was the biggest thing for him. And I mean, they had Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers is at the end of his days too. I mean, so Bryce Young is really like the next young guy that's going to last a long time. Got a crazy arm, super accurate. By like week 2, I think he's going to be in his groove. Like, I don't think it's going to take him very long. I think the first week he's going to get the game speed out the way. Next week coming in, he's going to be all right.
Well, and he doesn't have to play, I guess, like a ton of top tier defenses, I would say, because Niners. Wait, I don't know if he plays the Cowboys. I don't think he plays Cowboys or Eagles, but that's one thing as well. But it's also like, I think that the receivers that he has, I mean, they weren't able to build a ton of that receiving core. I guess you could.
I like all of them, to be
Really? You
honest.
do?
I
Okay.
like Adam Thielen. No, DJ
But
Chark.
he's kind of old with the injuries and stuff like that. How long does that last? I don't know.
I I still like him for the fact that he's comfortable in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's what I like about him. The comfortability that I know that like in a say like a route over the middle, about 15 yards down the field. If he's wide open, he's probably going to catch it if it's there. Versus somebody like DJ Chark who's had injuries and he might be
Right.
scared to take a hit. And I love DJ Chark. Like I still wanted him on the Jaguars. Like I said, he's another one that we just let go. Oh, to add on top of that, Laviska Shenault, who I think is one of the most dangerous weapons that you can have on a team. I'm not saying that because he's on the Jaguars. We just underutilized him. If they unlock the power of what he can do on both ways of the ball, he'll be the next Deebo Samuel if you let that happen. Like I think he's that good. And then you have your guy out of Ole Miss. Why am I drawing the blank on his name?
Oh man, I know who. Oh, the guy, yeah, that they drafted. Oh my gosh, I
big
know who
guy.
you're. Yeah, and he was drawing comparisons to like the next DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf and AJ
Yeah,
Brown.
hold on, I'm looking it up.
Manny will probably say it in the chat. Yeah, Jonathan Mingo. There
yeah,
we go.
Mingo. There we go. Yeah.
So he's got they go fishing right there too. So you got that, and then you also have Hunter, not Hunter and Fro, Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst at tight end. So I mean, he's got
Ian
some
Thomas. I'm looking here. Yeah, maybe not that
Ian
bad.
Thomas. Yeah, I think they are very. I don't want to say fractured because that sounds bad, but they just have to build chemistry together. I mean, all of these guys are fairly new. DJ Chark and Laviska played together, but they're on a brand new team, learning a brand new system. And Terrace Marshall Jr.'s on that team too at wide receiver. I mean, they got a lot of different types of wide receivers.
Unproven.
A lot of unproven guys. Yeah, exactly. But they're all different. Like Adam Thielen can be spectacular, but he's old. DJ Chark is a down the field threat, but he gets hurt. Terrace Marshall Jr. is good at a lot of stuff. We still don't know what his thing is. Jonathan Mingo, can he be DK Metcalf and AJ Brown? Because he's a big guy, right? Laviska Shenault can be a Swiss Army knife like DK Metcalf, but are they really going to utilize him? So there's a lot of different like types of wide receivers on that team. So it's just going to be interesting to see how they mesh together, because it's not like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson being on the same team. They're almost like they're not the same type of wide receiver, but they complement each other really well. I think that's what the Panthers, I would say as a goal, as a coaching staff for the Panthers, if we can get our wide receiving core to work together like the Bengals do with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase, then we're going to be really damn good. I'm not saying that they had the talent of those guys, but they had the skill sets there to be that good. Like they're 5 receivers deep that all have super talented attributes about them. So, depends on how they want to use them.
CJ Stroud, my grade for him, I think it's a big unknown because the offensive line is terrible and they decided to go get a guy on the opposite side of the defensive, I guess, like they decided to go get an edge rusher with that 3rd pick. And so they left. I mean, Tunzel isn't playing. And so, which kind of, they're throwing him a little bit of a bone as far as like protection goes. Obviously, protection has been pretty bad. And also, I just don't know how much D'Amico Ryans is going to be able to develop him, because he comes from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. And if you look at the history of that, it's like Sean McVay had Matthew Stafford, didn't develop him. Phil Fleur had Aaron Rodgers, didn't develop him. Kyle Shanahan, I could go on for like 2 days about how badly our quarterbacks have been run. And so CJ Stroud, I don't have a grade on him because it's just hard. It really, I don't think he got drafted to the best scenario necessarily, and he hasn't had all of his weapons. His receivers are okay. They got Tank Dell. They have Robert Woods, but it's kind of like the Panthers as well. It's like it's super unproven. Like we
I
don't know.
think
We don't know.
I think
So
they're really unproven, and one of their concerns, I would say, is you have really an unproven running back still too, and Damian Pierce
yeah,
because of his injury and him not taking a lot of snaps in college. So that's even more concerning to me that the guy has a ton of tread on the tires and got hurt so early, and now what the national media is doing again is I think it's the worst problem for young players like him. They're already trying to crown this dude as the next best running back. And
yeah.
I'm a Florida State fan. I hate the Florida Gators. I really do. But when I
Yeah, you were
evaluate people,
talking what was it earlier on in the show? You were saying something about the some player that came from the Florida Gators. Who was it? It was okay, maybe not. Never mind. Go ahead.
oh
Go ahead.
yeah, I don't remember now. But I had Damian Pierce coming out of that draft as my favorite running back, and he ended up being
Mhm.
every single thing that we had hoped, and he got hurt. So yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud's grade to me is a C. And I could be
Mm.
a little bit more harsh. I could say a C minus in some areas, but right now I'm gonna give him a C because I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. He had a really good game recently.
Mhm.
Very first game was up and down. We know he threw that bad interception. Everybody's harping on that, even though it was a couple throws and he threw an interception. Um, but I think CJ Stroud, the thing that's working for him is his arm talent can't be denied. And I
Mhm.
think he processes down the downfield throws really, really well as far as reading defenses. Now, as far as the interception, it is what it is. But like Manny said, he had a throw earlier in Miami that was beautiful. It was a touch pass and it was right on the money. He did this time and time again in college. But like I was telling Coach, that's his team. And I said by week 4, I think is when you can evaluate if he's going to be great in the league. Because if I think he can process things the way that he can, I think that CJ Stroud can be, I don't want to say great his first year, but I think he's going to be good. But I think
Right.
the next year he should get a lot more hype. I think at the end of the season, he'll probably have, I'm projecting to have about 3,800 yards and 20, 23, 24 touchdowns somewhere in
Okay.
there with about 8 or 9 interceptions. And people are going to be like, oh, it's a mediocre year. But it's like, look at the team that he's got. D'Amico Ryan's first year. D'Amico Ryan's has got a long-term contract. So they're expecting them to be able to develop those guys. But you got to think about the injuries that they're probably going to have. Tank Dell is a small guy. I mean, no matter how much people like him, he had drop issues in college too.
Yeah.
And he's from that city. That's a lot of pressure on somebody. That's why I always like when you draft away from the city,
Yeah.
it's better. Um, that's mediocre in a 17 game season, Manny. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if somebody said 3,800 yards and 24 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, you're gonna be like, that's not anything incredible.
I think that's good. I mean, if you look at I would disagree with you. I mean, I think it's going to take him a little bit longer than 4 games because say what you will about Trevor Lawrence, I think that he is going to be a really good quarterback this year and with Calvin Ridley throwing to Calvin Ridley, but I mean, his rookie year, it took him a while, especially on a rebuilding team that wasn't very good. It took him a while to kind of show flashes, and now they stuck with him, and now they're actually starting to go somewhere. So, but also, like, I would agree, like, the Texans, if you look at their draft, they really did not that much to actually like help him out. They had like obviously Tank Dell, but then like round 4, they had defensive end TCU, Dylan Horton. They had Henry, I can't
Henry
pronounce that name.
Toto.
Linebacker from Alabama. And then they drafted, I believe it was like 2 centers, which was a little weird. And so, I mean, like, what were they doing as far as weapons goes with their I
I
mean,
think
I don't know.
I
And I know the Texans offense will probably be run heavy, but it's like you said with Damian Pierce, who's the second running back needs to be solid as well because with the injuries there. So
Devin
I don't know.
Singletary. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they got him in place where I think he's still an unproven running back. Like I think I think Damian Pierce is not. Or Devin Singletary was nice too. I don't know why the Bills got rid of him, but I mean, I see what you're saying. I like CJ Stroud, and I think that if he can get past this first year and past the first couple mediocre games that he's going to have, and I think the way that they built their team this year wasn't. I mean, they didn't build it around the quarterback for sure. I mean, but they trying to build the team as a whole instead of focusing on one area. Like the Eagles, for example, did they really need to go after Jalen Carter?
No,
not really, but they did, and they got two brand new coordinators. So Jonathan Gannon's not there. That he gets all the blame on why they lost in the Super Bowl, but it's like you kind of gotta like think in the team aspect of this whole thing. Like I might have hated the Jaguars draft, but Trent Baalke might seem like an absolute genius the way he drafted. I don't know yet, but I'm just going by the way that I evaluated some of these players, and I'm just like, do we really need that? The thing that I'll say about your Trevor Lawrence comment, and I hear that pretty often.
Then again, year one he was Urban Meyer, so that kind of stunted his growth. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, and a lot of people say that, but here's the thing. When's the last quarterback that we heard had this much hype? As far as like next generational, for sure, number one pick, regardless. And he had a mediocre season at Clemson this last year. And he still was the number one pick. Didn't win a national championship outside of his freshman year. I said Kelly Bryant was the quarterback and still could have won them a championship. That wasn't a Trevor Lawrence thing. That team was all the way good.
Okay.
But my thing is exactly what Source said. That's always been my argument. I get that Urban Meyer is a bad coach. Nobody's ever saying that. He got fired before the season was over. But he didn't throw a pass. Urban Meyer don't throw no pass. I mean, if you're this generational quarterback like people say that you are, you should have had that 24 touchdown, 9 interception season with 3,800 yards.
I just don't. I mean, they were a terrible team that year, though. They were not good.
They were not good. And
I mean, Tim Tebow suiting up for tight end, that has to tell you something.
Yeah, but Trevor Lawrence was dog crap too. I mean, he looked like on bust material. I mean, there was a lot of games that I watched, Ben. I was like, did this dude really just like short arm a throw? But I thought he was generational. But exactly everything I said in college was sometimes he can have a noodle arm. Sometimes he's not as accurate. This is one thing that I went back and I watched the LSU championship against them in Clemson. It was them in Clemson. Did you know in the third quarter, Trevor Lawrence had 13 overthrows in that game? 13 potential overthrows where they could have put about 3 more scores on the board.
Look at that defense, though. I mean, LSU was freaking. Remember that team that year? Man, that defense had like 4 NFL players. No, maybe more. There was more than 4.
You know who Justin Ross is?
Justin
Ross was putting people on burners.
Yeah.
He's on the Chiefs right now. Clemson. Yeah, he's on the Chiefs right now. Yeah. That's like burning everybody up. So, but he got open on like 5 of those overthrows where he could have been going for a touchdown.
You watch more film than me, so I should.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if you go back and watch that championship, that should have told you everything you need to know about Trevor Lawrence. 13 overthrows. That game should have been closer, and it was close by the third quarter, and then it started to get carried away.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Trevor Lawrence didn't have 13 overthrows to people like Justin Ross, how close that game really could have been. And what would we be talking about? Will we be talking about Joe Burrow, or will we be talking about Trevor Lawrence? If Trevor Lawrence would have won that game, we wouldn't even be talking about Joe Burrow in the light that we are. But I would have been a believer then. But when I went back and watched that, Ben, I was like, yeah, exactly what I've been watching all these years is translated over to the NFL. That interception he threw in the first preseason game, I went down and told my wife, I'm like, you would not believe the interception that just came out of this man's hand. Like a generational quarterback throwing a short arm throw the way that he did into double coverage, it was so bad. Like if I was his quarterback coach, I'd be like, You're supposed to be the guy. Why are we making throws like this? But we're not going to hold him accountable. He could throw 4 interceptions in one half, Ben, just like when he played the Chargers. But it
Yeah,
still get
well,
looked at
that's
in the
true.
same
That's
light.
true.
Hey, let Brock Purdy have done that. Do you think that he would have got slammed in the media Monday morning, regardless if you guys would have won?
Yeah, probably.
Exactly.
Well, I think if they would have lost that, the Chargers were just, I don't know, that coach is terrible for them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do agree with that too. I do agree with that. They should have ran the ball more. But my point is I think when you look at all the aspects of that, you need to really, like, people need to break down the fact that Trevor Lawrence had eight or 9 great games out of a 17-game season, and we're saying that this dude is still a top 10 quarterback. When you really break it down, this is what we're saying. A lot of people, not saying that you are, but I'm saying a lot of people are saying he's great, he's okay, and I think this year he needs to prove wrong. I always give quarterbacks 3 years. This is his 3rd year, and my theory on that has
it's going to be very hard to fail. Is just my opinion.
Exactly. You know what I said about Carson Wentz when he went to the Colts? If he fails, it's his own fault.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, I give CJ Stroud I'm gonna give him a C for right now.
Okay, C. Yeah. You can't even blame for all his. Yeah, you're gonna get hate for this. I'm gonna post this afterwards. We'll see how the comments respond, because I've had some videos that I've posted that have gone. Yeah, I've been told before some unpopular opinions about me. I've been told, like, what is this kid? He's like, he shouldn't be anyways. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you on Trevor Lawrence. But
check this out. I haven't been wrong about quarterbacks a lot ever. The last quarterback I was wrong about was Cam Newton. How long ago was that? A long time ago. And then I also had this prediction. Now we're gonna get into it, because I'm actually make you feel a little bit better. There is a video where I predicted, and everybody knows in this comment section, I've told this story before. I said that Alabama was going to lose against Texas A&M and Georgia. This is before Nick Saban even lost to any of his former assistants. People in the comment section was like, it's not going to be possible. In the same year, it'll never happen. You're an idiot, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. That's statistically impossible. Guess what happened that year? That was a bold prediction I made for both of those teams to win against Alabama. Sometimes you get some of those right too, when you step back and you believe in exactly what you're seeing, and you can just tell that there's a trajectory. The eye in the sky don't lie, man. He was vulnerable that year. There was chinks in his armor, and it got exposed. So as long as you just like believe in what you're saying and you can have context to back it up, you can't fail regardless. I mean, you're on YouTube making content, right? You're making the predictions that you make. So stick by your word. And if you fail, you know what you can always do to humble yourself and others? You can go ahead and make an apology video like I've done thousands of times. If Trevor Lawrence is good, I will come out and say, I'm a believer. I'm a Trevor Lawrence guy. He can get us to the promised land. And here's the things that I was wrong about, and I seem like an idiot. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. But you got to admit when you're wrong too. So, and I haven't been totally wrong yet.
We'll see. We will see. I will hold you to it, because wow.
Hold my feet to the fire, man.
That is. Trevor was told by the media that he was generational as a freshman, and he'd be in the league starting as a freshman in high school. You can't blame the guy for getting all this love. Yeah, I mean, it's not really his fault.
So did Jalen Hurts too. Don't forget about that. So did Jalen Hurts, and he got benched, and now it was in the Super Bowl before Trevor Lawrence.
That's true. Chargers should have fired that head coach. Yeah, that to me to this day is still a huge
Brandon
mystery.
Yeah, Brandon Staley should not be that head coach. Wait a second, Ben. Since we're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence, right? Check this out. When does Justin Herbert get a pass? He's been nothing but incredible since he's been in the league, and has had a crappy coaches since he's been there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although that last playoff game, I don't know. It was probably somewhat his fault. You can make the same. You can make the same argument that last playoff game that you can make for Trevor Lawrence. Like, yes, it was the coach's fault, but the coach wasn't throwing the ball. I don't know.
Austin Eckler should have got the passes, or should have got more runs in that game.
Yeah, that's true.
But Justin Herbert had fractured ribs for 5 games last year too.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember that too.
That's what I'm saying. What if we gave an excuse for Trevor Lawrence? What about Justin Herbert that came with the gun firing, regardless of who it was? That dude broke so many records, man. So it just changes your perspective, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I thought
Justin
about all of
Herbert.
this.
Yeah. Justin Herbert with Kyle Shanahan. You know, we've had so many chances to draft good quarterbacks and we still don't. So I'm not really sympathetic of Kyle Shanahan.
Hey,
People always think like the media is always like, put Kyle Shanahan with this quarterback and he'll be so good. And I'm like, he's passed on over half of them because he hasn't wanted them. So
how do you feel about Brock Purdy though?
yeah, I don't know. I honestly, in this game, I haven't even looked at the 49ers score since I got
Don't
on the stream, but I don't know
I
how
wouldn't even
well
worry
he
about
did.
preseason right now. I would say if he does bad, if he does good, it's whatever. But based off, think about it like this, man. I've been defending Brock Purdy, and I couldn't stand Brock Purdy in his last year at Iowa State. I thought he was going to be doo-doo berries, and he came out and he proved me wrong, right? This dude played 6 games for you guys. Barely turned the ball over. Won those last 4 games of the regular season. Won you guys 2 playoff games and got you to an NFC championship game. How many quarterbacks in the NFC can you count on one hand that you could say has had a stacked team and never got their team sniffing the NFC championship? I'll name one. Kirk Cousins. Ain't never sniffed the NFC championship game.
I don't know. I think, he has the confidence to be a quarterback.
He did, but I'm saying.
I'm just going to say this. I think it's going to definitely take him a while. I don't want to say this. Well, I'm going to say it, but I just don't think our team's going to start off fast, which is what we want them to do because we've started off slow 2 years in a row. But I just think that kind of similar to what Jimmy Garoppolo had after his ACL tear, it's like, they're going to there's going to be limitations there. And I just think that's going to hold him back quite a bit. I don't know. I think.
What other limitations does he have to fight through being Mr. Irrelevant and being third on that depth chart? And one of you guys.
Yeah, but I'm saying like injury, like limitations with his arm. Like, I shouldn't be putting myself in this type of like, for example, like stuff that he would do last year. There are certain things that he would do last year that he's probably not going to do this year because of his arm. I'm just saying. And we all say the 49ers are Steelers overlooking that game week 1, but they have a great defense and our offensive line is very, how do I put this? I don't really like it very much, especially the right side. So I hope TJ Watt doesn't make us look really, really bad. I'm afraid that's what's going to happen week 1 and we're going to get embarrassed the crap out of, but yeah.
I would say, yes, have the highest expectations if Brock Purdy's your starter because of the simple fact that the dude played like a half a season of football and got you guys to the NFC Championship and had a fluke injury that happened. Because if he would have played, that's the tune, right? If he would have played, it probably would have looked completely different. But maybe not because the Eagles' defense was so good. But still, if you guys would have ended up losing that game with him in the game, I would still be like, I don't think we would have.
I really don't think we would have lost that game. That's my honest opinion.
I think it would have been. I think you guys would have lost a close game. I really do. I think the game would have been like 24-27, and Brock Purdy throws like his one mistake, one rookie mistake that would have got you guys sent. But I don't think anybody would be questioning that Brock Purdy should be your starter though. If he didn't get hurt, you guys would be like, that's the guy. Trade Trey Lance. We don't need him.
So I don't know how long, because I was going to ask you one more question real quick on college football because I'm a big fan. But how long can you stream for tonight? Because I don't want to like overstep.
I'm good. Bro.
Okay. Well, I was just going to quickly, I don't cover college football, but I am a huge Michigan fan. Real quick before I get to that, Charvarius Ward versus George Pickens is going to be a good match. Yeah, that is going to be a good matchup. Michigan, how much? Because they're actually gaining, and I don't think the Jim Harbaugh suspension is really going to be that serious because, first 4 games,
They already called it off. It's not happening this season.
Oh, really?
They put it on pause.
Oh, okay. I did not see that. But they're picking up a lot of hype, Michigan. Do you think that what are their chances of getting a championship? I honestly think this is the first year where Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama all have question marks at quarterback, and we have the most solidified quarterback, which is crazy to think. And then
Oh, you
I don't know.
think?
I'm getting excited. Number one offensive line in the college football. Just saying.
Hey, let me go ahead fishing with one of these. Ah. That's how you be laughing on our channel. He knows exactly what I'm going to say too. I think JJ McCarthy
Is not good.
is okay.
Is okay, but not great.
I think you
I think
guys.
he is overhyped because he was a 5-star recruit, and the TCU game didn't like that performance at all. Anyways, go ahead.
He lost you guys more games than probably won. But here's the thing: the quarterback that should still be on your team transferred.
You think McNamara is better than McCarthy? I don't know.
Didn't Kate McNamara win the Ohio State game for you guys 2 years ago?
Yeah, but I mean, McCarthy did it in Columbus. I think that's harder to do it in. I don't know. I
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And here's the thing. Here's the thing that I will say about Kate McNamara that is, you guys are going to be crying real tears this year. Let me just get that started. Pay attention.
I was crying tears last year after that was the worst officiated TCU game ever. Well, okay, the first few drives were terribly officiated. Don't even get me started on that game. I got so mad.
I understand your pain. When Michigan is good, it's good for college football. I will say that. But I'm not a JJ McCarthy fan, and I think he takes way too many unnecessary chances because he can be good. I'm not saying that he's not good. He's a good quarterback. I just think Kate McNamara is better. But this is why you're going to cry actual tears this year. Kate McNamara went to Iowa, right? And people are like, oh, Iowa's offense is going to suck. Kate McNamara is a better mechanical quarterback than JJ McCarthy. The thing about Kate McNamara is and this is what used to drive y'all nuts. He ain't gonna take a lot of chances downfield, and he ain't gonna throw an interception either. If he throws an interception, it's probably because of something bad happened on the play. If you go back and watch him play, he's not a high risk, high reward type of guy. JJ McCarthy is, and it helped him out more times than it didn't, right?
I think, but to beat Ohio State, you have to be kind of a downfield passer because otherwise they just load the box. And
absolutely.
And I think the year that McNamara won in the Big House, I mean, that was like, it was hard to pass it. Like, it was like because it was snowing, because it was so cold, it was kind of just like the style of that game was fit for Michigan, if you know what I'm saying. So I don't know.
So here's the thing. JJ McCarthy is probably going to lose more games at Iowa just because their offense sucks. But I think Michigan,
McNamara, yeah.
All right, McNamara, yeah. But McNamara is going to be in the conversation as one of the best quarterbacks statistically week over week. Guess who he's training with? And who this guy is high on? Jordan Palmer. Who else did Jordan Palmer train?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, all top. His formula, and he already came out and said, the thing that I had to work with Cade McNamara was up here. He's got all the arm talent, but I'm going to teach him to be a little bit more risky this year, and it's going to be high risk, high reward. That is dangerous. Mm-hmm. If anything happens to those two running backs in Michigan, there's going to be a ton of pressure on JJ to perform this year. I'm just letting you know right now. I think Michigan could be the number 6 and number 7 team in college football, and I think Ohio State is probably going to be worse than that. I think Ohio State's gonna. I think you both can possibly lose a game against a team like Penn State or Maryland this year. Maryland almost beat you guys last year.
No, Maryland almost beat Ohio State. It was Illinois that almost beat us. And but in
the first half it was close with Maryland. I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was. So I guess you're right.
And I think
Maryland
has
a legit quarterback. They have a legit.
Oh, Talia Tagovailoa, we are high on him, bro. And I'm telling you, if he just had one more good weapon as a running back or a wide receiver, he could have beat you guys and Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And we would be taught. And Illinois was the same way. If they had one more star, if they had a star quarterback on their team with Chase Brown, you guys could have lost against them too. I mean, and that's scary to think about. And that's why it wasn't like when you guys played TCU, it wasn't a surprise on why TCU beat you and Georgia beat the crap out of them too, because
65-7.
you
Crazy.
guys would have gave them more of a challenge, but I
Yeah.
still think they probably would have put up 50 points. And you guys would have put up like 20. I still think they beat the crap out of you guys too, just because Georgia was that good. But that's just saying like the level of competition going against Georgia has just been not fair. JJ McCarthy and Fishin said it. JJ is serviceable if you have a Georgia level defense. I think JJ McCarthy is like a step up from a Stetson Bennett. Like I think he's serviceable enough, but he's going to be more risky. I'm very curious to see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I honestly want him to prove me wrong too. And I hope he's good for you guys. I hope that Kate McNamara is not making Jim Harbaugh eat his words, because you heard what happened with Jim Harbaugh, right?
No.
As far as the injuries,
I don't think so. I don't follow a ton of college football. I just kind of
let me tell you.
Let
me tell you something that's been circling around the college football world, which I think is going to circle back and smack Jim Harbaugh in the face. So Kate McNamara already came out and said, I didn't really have an injury like that. I mean,
oh yeah,
Jim just didn't want me to play, and he put me on a unable to perform list and made JJ the starter. He came out and said that. And also Zach Charbonnet, who was the running back at UCLA that plays for the Seahawks now, that transferred from you guys, he had actually said the same thing too. That was one of the reasons why he transferred, because Jim Harbaugh was all over the medicals and saying who could and could not start, and kind of used it to put it over their head. Like the trainer said that you guys weren't healthy when they actually were. Yeah. So it's messy, man. It's messy when you think about that from Cade's perspective. Because do you think if Cade played y'all that he don't want to beat the crap out of Michigan? Man, let me tell you.
I don't think they have the power to do it, though. I think we're gonna.
Their defense is nasty. They probably got the best safety and cornerback in the country, and they're both white boys.
Will Johnson. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But that was a little off track. But that was a cool little discussion. I should probably answer some of the questions though, or not comments.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ben, all glory to the Hypnotoad. Yeah, thank you. I agree with Ben a lot, but I don't know about this. You know, I think they should just ban Georgia from the NCAA. Make like a separate league.
Remember, they were saying that about Alabama for the longest time. Now it's Georgia.
Yeah. Same coaching tree, though. So they kind of do things a little bit similar. Well, a lot similar. Ohio State loaded the box and still gave up 250 rushing to Michigan. Yeah. I think Ohio State will lose to Penn State this year. I could see that happening. It's been back and forth each year, and I don't know about their quarterback situation there. Too many 5-stars on one roster, he says. Yeah. But let's get to the next kind of topic.
Yep.
Breakout players that will have a huge season for the Jags this next year. Any rookies, guys coming in that will kind of fill the shoes of guys that you've lost. I don't know, Anton Harrison. I wasn't huge on him necessarily. Yeah. I don't think he'll fill the shoes of Jawan Taylor. But what are your thoughts on your guys' kind of underrated guys?
Let me give my last grade on Anthony Richardson.
Oh yeah, I'm
gonna give him a D minus, and and we can move on.
D minus. What?
He's been terrible. I
watched the game against the Bills. I think I think Shane Steichen is the right
okay
coach with him. I'm just saying, I think Shane Steichen is the right coach, and how he was calling all those slants. I think as far as like, he needs to take a little heat off of his like intermediate ball, because he throws that from 0 to 5 yards. He throws it so hard. But I mean,
0 to 5 yards, that goes 10 yards, because he overthrows the hell out of people too. He's been doing that since college, man. I don't know if he can change that. That's all.
Oh yeah, that's who it was that you were giving hate to, because you're a Florida State fan. It was Anthony Richardson. He's not a winner. Like, I mean, I guess he's not. If you look,
he never won anything at Florida. He lost them more games than he won, and people wanted to just fabricate that this dude's a winner. And I mean, I like Anthony Richardson. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I like his whole personality. I like the way he is. I even like some of the things he does on the field. But the thing is, he's not a winner. It just is what it is. I mean, how many games did he start for you guys down there fishing and Sora? They're the two Gators fans. Didn't he only play like 10 games or something like that?
Yeah, I honestly, I think if you can get past, he wasn't terrible. Hold on. Yeah, I don't think he was terrible at all. I think he was. I think there's a lot of things to look forward to. Now, the interception was weird to say the least, where he against the Bills, where he sidearmed it, fading away. I don't know.
He's mid. He's mid. I hope that they can unlock him.
I think Steichen's the perfect player. I mean, not player, coach to do that. But
he is. That's a tall task, though. He just came off one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL, and who was a winner. I think winning, man, has a lot to do with it. He hasn't won a lot.
I think he's gonna struggle a lot, but like once he actually gets past this season, I think he's gonna do great because you take a little heat off of that ball. Hey, take a little heat off of that ball, and
yeah,
I think if you can work on his accuracy, he can fit the ball into very tight windows, which not many quarterbacks in the NFL can do. So,
well, let me ask you this: everything that you've seen so far is this the fourth overall pick kind of play that you would be expecting? Hell no. I would say hell no. This is not what you would expect from a fourth overall player.
Yeah, but who should they draft instead? I mean, I guess they could have
waited this year.
Waited
till next year.
Waited till, I guess, tanked again, which for John, I mean, I don't know.
Our trade for Matt Corral, who's down there in Carolina.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I wonder how many wide receivers got their fingers jammed by Anthony Richardson. That is, I mean, it was like it was like a 7-yard pass, and he was just like, whoo. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Moving on, breakout players for the Jags. What's your thoughts on this? You're obviously somewhat of a Jags fan, although the way you talk about Trevor Lawrence is
people think I'm not a Jags fan because I'm not afraid to be critical of my team, but sometimes it comes off like, oh, you're not a real fan then. No, I'm not going to meat ride for my team and be critical of them. I think that's what a real fan, will do. So, I'm gonna give you a thumbs up. I saw it. Chad Muma is a linebacker for us that I think is going to be. I don't have any other rookies on this list, so I'm not expecting anything from them in their year one. But Chad Muma, linebacker out of Wyoming that we drafted last year, I think he's going to be awesome. He's been awesome in camp. I think he's going to be a Paul Posluszny type of middle linebacker here in the next couple of years. I think he's going to slowly grow. And I loved him, man. I loved everything about Chad Muma in college, and I think he's going to be that guy. I think he's going to be a tackle machine to take over the reins of the defense, to be what Miles Jack was for us when he was there. Travis Etienne, I think he takes another step up. I think all the success that came from Trevor Lawrence, the praise that we gave Trevor Lawrence is the praise that we should have gave Travis Etienne as well. He won us a lot of games, and when he played well, Trevor played well. Mm-hmm. Just is what it is. There's no way other than to slice it. If it wasn't for that fourth down, 15-yard pass for a first down and a Riley Patterson field goal, we wouldn't be even talking about Trevor Lawrence in the way that we have been in the postseason. I'm just be real with you. This Travis Etienne did that. Zay Jones, wide receiver, I think he takes another step up. And I think that Christian Kirk takes a step down this year. I think Zay Jones at the end of the year, people are going to be saying that he should be our number one guy.
The chemistry between them two has been awesome. Really crazy. Yeah.
Yes. I can honestly say that when
great fantasy person at the end of last year too.
When Zay Jones and Trevor Lawrence get together, he looks the best as a quarterback that I've seen out of him is when Zay Jones is catching passes from him. I don't know what it is. I wish he could build that chemistry with everybody else. I mean, Christian Kirk had over 1,000 yards. I get it.
Mhm.
But Zay Jones just looked different when he caught passes from Trevor Lawrence. It looked smooth. The passes came out accurate. And Zay Jones is a beast. And then Devin Lloyd, another outside linebacker for our team that came in the same draft with Chad Muma. I think he had a little bit of a not as an impressive year as what people thought he should have had. But I think he's going to be another great weapon for our team in the second year in that system with Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker and Chad Muma and Fudakasi still out there. Like, I think who was the tackle machine for us last year. I think he almost led the league in tackles. All those guys together, that front seven is going to be okay.
Yeah.
I know the middle of our field is a little weak, but as far as our linebacking crew, I think that they're going to be okay, and that's going to help our edge rushers too. So,
and the run game. I mean, when those guys are going downhill, sorry to interrupt, but it definitely, when you have good second level, it helps the middle, the defensive tackles.
So. Yeah, man. So those are my breakout guys for the year for sure. I think those four gentlemen right there. I gave you two from defense and two on offense. I didn't mean to do it in that order, but those are the first four names that came to mind. Two of them being linebackers, and Zay Jones and Travis Etienne. All these guys in their second year with the Jaguars. I think they're all going to be very good.
How good of the offense? How do you think the offensive line does anything? Because you weren't a fan of that pick. Because hey, we saw with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos last year. You don't have a good offensive line, you are not going to be in a good position.
That's the biggest question mark. Like you said, the middle of the defense on that defensive line is a big worry. I think we need another strong safety too, but not the position strong safety, but another good safety. As far as depth, but our offensive line is still a question mark. I mean, there's nobody good there. I mean, it really is. Like, I can go through the whole offensive line in my brain, and it's like, yeah, that player, this player, the center, the other guard, the other tackle. None of them are really that good.
And you can mask it with different schemes. I mean, I think, the Kyle Shanahan offense masks a lot of the problems that we have on offensive line as well. But Doug Peterson's never. I mean, you're just going to have to run the ball a lot, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with Travis Etienne. He doesn't come across as a workhorse back, but
no, and we got depth there. I mean, we got Tank Bigsby who is going to be able to take. I like JaMycal Hasty too, man. I'm a big fan of his. Guy. JaMycal Hasty is a dog. I like him as well.
That was kind of the leftover of a stacked 49ers running back group that just couldn't keep everyone. And he was like actually a really good running back, but we just were too stacked. We cut him. So,
yeah. I think the only one there is Brandon Scherf is pretty much the only, I guess, salvageable one on the team that I could say is decent. He's good. He's decent. But everybody else, man, I mean, Ben Barge, Walker Little, Luke Fortner, and then now we got Anton Harrison, and then we got Cam Robinson who's suspended. Like, bro, Anton Harrison's been playing well in the preseason. I can give him that, but he still look a little suspect. But Brandon Scherf is the only one that I can honestly say that, like, if you want to say
he's getting older, though. He's getting up there in age. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting this year, too. Like, I mean, that's where you need depth. And we have no depth there either. No young guys other than Anton Harrison. So
the Niners are starting Colton McKivitz, who previously was our swing tackle, is 26 years old, is not good in run blocking or it just. Why do we have to have him? Why do we have to have him at right tackle? Right, my voice is correct. Why do we have to have him at right tackle? I don't understand. And we literally have no depth at that position either. So,
you gave up. What's the homie's name this offseason?
Mike McGlinchey? No, I think Mike McGlinchey was bad too, though. I did not like Mike McGlinchey.
Well, I'm talking about as far as depth, you just got rid of somebody that was familiar with the system. You know what I'm saying?
But he got paid over $20 million. That was not worth. Good luck, Broncos.
Oh no, I agree.
You will find out really quickly that he is not worth that at all.
I agree. You still got Trent Williams though. So
Yeah.
if you can clone him 4 more times, you'd be okay. But
Yeah.
that unfortunately that doesn't work like that.
Papasora says they should have waited on to take DTR.
I think he's talking about the
And
Colts.
the
Yeah.
Colts. You know, that's always interesting because it's like with Brock Purdy. It's like if every team would have known that, then they would have all waited. And like, I just
Is what it
DTR
is.
has had a really good that's a surprising guy where like he went to the wrong team almost because he's not going to really get to play unless. But I mean, now
Yeah.
they have the best backup in the league. Well,
Right.
not best backup in the league, but could be the best backup in the league. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that could be
I
something.
think he's going to get traded, man. A lot of people
Yeah.
were asking me about my top 5 quarterbacks coming out in the draft, and it went as such. I said Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and then I had Hendon Hooker, and then Max Duggan, and then Dorian Thompson-Robinson were my 5 guys. And
I mean, I loved Hendon Hooker coming out. Loved him, but Duggan?
Yeah, I
Really?
love Duggan. Wow. And he's been, people have actually called about seeing if they can trade for him.
Really?
Same thing's going to happen with DTR. I'm telling you, somebody's quarterback is going to get hurt. It always happens. Somebody's quarterback going to get hurt, and then they're going to trade him in. And then, hey, it might be you guys if
hey,
you guys got Trey Lance, and we can have roster, DTR.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, biggest winners and losers from preseason so far. This is going to go by teams. Who do you think kind of has that? Who has, isn't encouraging, and who is? I would start with, the Jets are, I think, playing up to par. I think they're exactly what we all expected them to be. So that's a huge winner for me, at least.
Yeah, I would say the biggest winner right now for me, and just seeing their depth on offense, is, we already mentioned it, the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns are showing that, like, we got 2 really good running backs. Cedric Tillman is an awesome commodity. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's good. Kellen Mond can get the job done, but his receivers.
What about their offensive line, though? That's
their offensive line has been. I would say that they're playing pretty good too. I wouldn't say that they're playing terrible, but
did you see the reports out of camp by the Eagles? Did you see that where they were getting destroyed? But I guess it's an all-time defensive line. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're practicing them with them in Philadelphia too. So
yeah, that's
true. I'm saying, with a whole bunch of young guys. So, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but there's always truth in everything that's negative too. So, hopefully they can mesh together by the time week 1 comes along. But that's why you go through joint practices. Things get are a little different. And then it might be great that they practice against the best defensive line in the NFL too. They might end up being like awesome by the time that the season rolls around. So I'm kind of glad that they practice against them, because whose defensive line up there in the AFC North is like that? Well, the Bengals got Trey Henderson and Sam Hubbard.
Mm-hmm.
And what's his name up there? DJ Reader, right? And then they got Baltimore's always got a good defense. There ain't nobody really else, so I'm glad that
49ers, if they can get Nick Bosa back. Dallas is a good defensive line too.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about AFC? Just AFC
okay. AFC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just think about everybody that's in the Browns division.
Okay.
The
Steelers,
worst team.
TJ Watt, if he can stay healthy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess you could say that. Yeah, because they do got Cameron Hayward. So damn, yeah. They're gonna go against a good defensive lines all over there. I just thought about that. Yeah.
I don't know. I think they were also very injury prone last year as well. So who knows? Yeah. That's a question mark for sure.
Yeah.
I would say a loser to me would be the Colts, because they still haven't gotten Jonathan Taylor signed, and their owner is acting like an idiot right now. And so
I don't know why that hasn't happened, bro.
Richardson,
that's a good one.
Richardson can do all. He could be the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's still going to fail, because they just, they have really no elite weapons on that team.
I
No
mean,
elite
Michael
weapons
Pittman
on
came
that
out the
team.
other day and said that Anthony Richardson is a future Hall of Famer. You got to stop doing this. You have to. I mean,
Yeah, because press. Yeah, well, and nothing's
it's
worse
too much
putting
pressure.
pressure on a unexperienced quarterback who hasn't played a lot.
Inexperienced quarterback with the fact that the dude has not played in an official NFL game yet.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so you're already crowning this a Hall of Famer. That's a disservice to your team. That's a bad teammate. I mean,
hmm
to be completely honest with you, a rookie, you already crown him. Oh, he can be or is a future Hall of Famer. I already see it. Man, you can't make your guy drink the Kool-Aid before it's even presented to the lips. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. As far as me, one of the worst teams, and I know I know my man Fisher's in the chat. He's a Titans fan, but the Titans are terrible, man.
yeah.
They're not good. They got a quarterback controversy, which is never good. Never good.
The chat is going wild. I don't even know where to start. If let's see. Real Fan Sports says, "What's good,
RFS,
y'all?"
what's up?
I should. That's a. I need to get you on the show. We actually had a good watch party stream, I guess last week. That was some fun. I love Duggan. Yeah, he's another team that I would say would be like every team that drafted a receiver in the first round. Like all of them have been solid. I think Quentin Johnston has been looking like a nice red zone target for them. So, and then
That's what they needed. Hey,
Justin Jefferson, even though the Vikings will have a terrible defense this year again, they didn't fix the problem. Justin Jefferson paired with the USC receiver is going to be crazy too. So,
Jordan Addison was my
yeah,
favorite wide receiver coming out in this class. And he's proven every bit of that right now. Outside of him getting in trouble, but apparently it's because his dog was going through something at his house. So
yeah, the
yeah.
speeding, yeah. Um, let's see, Fields is mid. I don't know
No,
about
Hayden,
that.
stop. I'm about to hit him up in our private chat over here in a second.
Show me something in the regular season. Is he talking about? I think he's talking about Richardson. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
This is the same dude who said Rising is winning the Heisman.
They got this rivalry back and forth because Hayden said that Cam Rising was going to win the Heisman this year from
Oh,
Utah. There ain't no way. He won't even start the season or the way it looks like. He's hurt.
anyways, yeah, I'm not even gonna try to figure out this chat right now because
There's some infighting going on.
yeah. Anyways, guys, this has been a great stream. Tell them again where they can find you. Thanks for coming on, man, giving your
Yeah, man.
knowledge on college football, little piece there, and just giving us so much of your time because we are almost at 80 minutes here. So thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Just go to Google, type in East Coast Gridiron. All of our stuff will pop up.
Yeah.
That's how we do.
That's smart. That's smart. If you do want to
Hey,
have
I tested it out myself.
direct links, Twitter and YouTube are in the description. But yeah, guys, have a good rest of your evening. Mega stream is coming next week. I'll be doing hopefully close to 8-hour stream with a bunch of different guests. Anthony Rivardo, he's a Giants analyst, and so I'll be having him on as well as some Niners, I guess, people that have collabed with quite a bit. So that will all be on next week on Saturday night. So 9 p.m. No, it would be 11 p.m. Eastern, a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. So go check that out next week, everyone. Have a good rest of your night, and thanks for watching.
Appreciate you guys.